Hey, Liam Ward here at LearnTheHarmonica.com. Today we're looking at the top 10 mistakes that beginner harmonica players make. These are things that happen all the time, and I'm going to help you to avoid making these mistakes. So before we go on, please click like and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to know when I upload a lesson, then click the little bell. I'm currently uploading 2 lessons a week, so loads of free stuff. So we're going to do this as a rundown, like a chart rundown. I'm going to start with number 10. And number 10 is trusting the shop where you buy the harmonica. So even before you've played the thing, you could have made a big mistake. And the reason is, most often they don't know anything about harmonicas. It's not a big money maker for them selling a few harps, so they're not going to know what they're talking about. And I've had some pretty shocking experiences of this. Let me give you one example. I once went to a big music store, well-known store, and I overheard the shop assistant talking to someone who wanted to buy a harmonica. And they said, my dad wants to learn some blues and some pop tunes. I want to get him a harmonica for his birthday, but I don't know what to buy. And the guy in the shop said, oh, get one of these. It's got loads of holes. And he held up a tremolo harmonica. He said, you've got more holes for your money. And this woman was going, oh, okay, I'll buy that, more holes for my money. And I couldn't stop myself. I jumped in and I said, oh, I'm actually a harmonica player and a teacher, and explained a bit about blues and pop and the different types of harmonica and which you might want to get. But that's just, it happens all the time. So you need to make sure you talk to a trusted source. I'm happy for you to email me. I've got lessons on which harmonicas to buy as well on YouTube. But talk to someone who knows what they're talking about. Don't trust them in the shop at all. Okay, number 9. Thinking that the 2-drawer is broken. So let's say you've managed to get the right harmonica, you take it home, you play that 2-drawer, but it doesn't sound like that, it sounds like this. It's so common to think that there's a problem with the harmonica, and it's just not the case. 99.9% of the time, it's down to your technique. But you wouldn't know that to begin with, so you need to check out a lesson on how to play a 2-drawer. I've got one, there's loads of others on YouTube as well, but don't blame the instrument. It's so common. I get emails about it all of the time. Okay, number 8 is breathing too hard. So one of the reasons you might think the 2-drawer isn't working is because you're breathing too hard, but this will cause all sorts of other problems as well. You'll run out of air, you'll break the instrument, and of course it won't sound good. So if you're finding you're forcing the air in and out, that's far too hard. You need to think breathe, don't heave. So you just... Even when you see people playing fast, even if you hear someone... I'm not breathing any harder. In fact, the faster you play and the kind of more twiddly, the more you have to be aware of how you're, breathing, because if you breathe too hard when you're trying to play fast, you're just going to hyperventilate. It's not going to work. So practice mindfulness with your breathing. Number 7 is looking at the harmonica. This is really common because you see those, it says 1 to 10. You'll see it on your harmonica. It says the whole number. So you think, oh, well, if I'm playing a tab off the internet where it says hole 4, I'm going to look. Now, the reason this is a problem is that you're relying on your ears rather than your eyes. No, I'm not. You're relying on your eyes rather than your ears. And you should be relying on your ears, because music's all about hearing. And if you're trying to sort of look at things, then you're not even paying attention to the sound. You need to trust whether it's the 4-drawer by the sound. Does it sound like the person who's giving you an example of that note? But also, by the time you've got it to your mouth, you can't even hear, you can't even see it. So you're relying on your ears anyway. So you've got this situation where you're thinking that you're playing hole 4, but you're probably playing hole 3 or hole 5. And that happens a lot, where people are 1 hole away from where they think they are. And it's all because they think that they need to look. So it's a good practice exercise to just close your eyes when you're playing, because then you can't look and you have to use your ears, which is great practice. Okay, number 6. In at number 6 is switching harmonica frequently, brand or make or model, to find the perfect one. And there's nothing wrong with trying out different harps. Nothing wrong with that. But often the motivation is that you're going, this doesn't sound that great. Whether that's the two draw or the chords or whatever, or just kind of it sounds, you're not getting clean notes. And then you think, well, a different harmonica is going to save me. It's going to make it better. It's not. Almost always, it's your technique. So, yes, try a few different types, but don't expect that to solve your problems because basically they're all very similar. Slightly different hole sizes, slightly different distance between the holes, but so similar. You're not going to find a massive difference. So don't expect it to be a golden bullet. Okay, number 5 is ignoring timing. So what I mean by this is so often people will try and learn licks and riffs and tunes, and that's great, but ignore the timing of them. So they'll get the notes, but they won't understand how long they're supposed to hold each note for, and they won't practice with a metronome. So I highly recommend getting a metronome, which just ticks away. You can get old-fashioned ones with a little pendulum that swings, or you can Google and get free ones, or get apps to keep your time. It's something that I often find, even with people who say they're intermediates, their timing is no good. So if you make sure you use a metronome and get your timing really good from the start, your playing will stand out massively. Okay, in at number 4 is tightening up. So being really sort of tense whilst you're playing. And you sometimes notice people are like kind of really sort of, their shoulders are up and in, and they're tensing their arm muscles and their, their mouth and their throat. It's going to affect your sound. It's going to tire you out. And if you look at great players, if you take, for example, David Barrett, I think the most widely published harmonica teacher in the world, if you see him play, he's so relaxed. Everything is just so relaxed. And you can't get good without learning to relax. Again, it will help that two draw, it'll help your breathing. So it's all part of the same system. So you drop your shoulders and you remember that you're just letting the air pass in and out. You're not forcing it in any way. Number 3 is trying to bend too soon. So bending is a really great technique for getting the harmonica to play extra notes that wouldn't naturally be there, and also for inflecting your notes and adding kind of spice to what you're playing. So it's really cool, and I understand the appeal of it. But if you try that before you've built a strong foundation, your playing is never going to get good. It's just not going to happen because you're building on top of something that isn't solid. So you need to make sure you've got good single notes, you can play some simple melodies, and your basic technique is really solid before even thinking about bending. You shouldn't be trying to bend notes on the first day you buy a harmonica, certainly not. I have a beginner course, which if you want to do things step by step, check it out, it's in the description below. Okay, number 2 is underestimating the instrument. And this happens, I think, just because it's a small instrument and they're cheap and they're often associated with kind of like being children's instruments. But it's not a toy. And people think, oh, I'll just get it. I'll get it easily. And then it's really sort of surprising when it's difficult. And you can't play everything straight away, and it takes work. So don't underestimate the instrument. It's an instrument like any other, and it has its difficulties. And then finally, the top mistake that I see all the time is simply impatience. And this encompasses a lot of what is included in a lot of the other mistakes that people make. A lot of it can be boiled down to just trying to jump on too soon. And it's understandable in the you know, era of YouTube, because there are so many things out there. I'll try that, try that, try that, try that, try that. But you need to foster a sense of focus in your practice, deliberate practice in your approach to playing. You need to work on one thing and then move on to the next. Think of it in that linear way rather than just thinking, oh, I'm going to do everything at once. Because it's so true that the best players have had that focus. Yes, they've tried lots of different things, but they've known when to try that. And when you're a beginner, you really need to get the core foundational techniques before worrying about anything else. Be patient, and your playing will come on, sort of paradoxically, a lot quicker than the impatient players. Okay, so that's my top 10 mistakes that beginner harmonica players make. If you're a beginner harmonica player and you'd like step-by-step lessons through all the key techniques, learn some fun songs along the way, I have a complete beginner course which starts from day one, just learning your first notes, right up to playing some really cool songs. Step-by-step, logical, and split into tiny chunks, so it's bite-sized and easy to follow. I'll put a link in the description beneath the video if you want to find out more about that. Feel free to email me as well. You can find me through my website. And let me know in the comments what mistakes you think beginner players make. What mistakes have you made yourself? I love to hear about these things, so do let me know in the comments. And remember to click like and subscribe. If you click the little bell, then you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Until I see you again, good luck with your practice. I'll see you soon. Cheers.